Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see some familiar faces here in the group and some new ones also. Today, we are talking about how to get through menopause with top-notch style with our special guest, Meg Matthews. Welcome, Meg. Nice to have you here with us. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Meg, and then we'll get into it. So Meg Matthews is an icon of the 90s British pop scene, a former music industry executive, event planner, and designer turned entrepreneur, and author of The New Hot, Cruising Through Menopause with Attitude and Style. An advocate for menopause, she launched Meg's Menopause in 2017, a platform dedicated to breaking the stigma around menopause. Having used her own menopause as a time to reassess and reset, Meg's message surrounding it is one of reinvention. Encouraging women to embrace this new chapter of their lives, her goal is to educate and inspire while breaking taboos with the support of medical professionals and offer tips to help women take control of their lives. In 2018, she held her first annual conference for menopause information and discussion. That same year, she was awarded the Inspiring Public Figure Award by the Inspiring Leadership Trust. And Meg is joining us today from London.
Hi. I'm not in London anymore. I've moved.
Not in London anymore. Where are you?
I'm now in Cornwall in a place called Newquay.
All righty
then. Surfers world. Yeah. I decided London was just not for me.
All right.
So we packed up and we moved and we now live right on the beach.
Oh,
so
lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. First, let me just do a little backpedal here. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll keep an eye on that. And Marissa, if you see that I'm missing something, if you would just bring to my attention. And Meg says super flexible. If you want to ask your questions live, you can. If you'd like me to ask them, that's fine too. And Meg will address them either as we go along or leave room at the end for Q&A. So let's start at the beginning, Meg. What inspired you to write The New Hot and why at the time that you wrote it? Like, why now, let's say? Why is it important?
Okay, so for someone who was dyslexic, has ADHD, and also has post-traumatic stress syndrome, this was not going to be a good thing for me to do. So I went for a meeting with a publishing company. They called me in. I was all right doing like the Instagrams, with the bright colors and stuff, because while I was out there going through this, I just kept buying all these menopause books and they were just full of font, page after page of font. Now, there was nothing wrong with that, but if you were like me, who had a time span of very short, plus dyslexia, and then also needed colors and visuals and different fonts and illustrations, they were amazing books, but I just couldn't, with the foggy brain and the not sleeping. I mean, I would read a page and I would fall asleep, and then I would try and read another page, and nothing was going in. So when this publishing company said, "Oh, come and meet us, and we'd love to talk about doing this book," I mean, the fear that came first was like, "Oh God, oh no, I'm a failure. I can't do this. I can't do this." Anyway, I go and have the meeting. And of course, they can't shut me up once they've got me in the meeting. It was just like, "I'm writing this book. How do you want it?" I said, "I want to tell my story. There's 34 symptoms. I'm 55 now. I was back then. I was 49, and I was like, I need to write. I've got 32 of these 34 symptoms. I feel so let down by society. I feel let down by doctors. I feel let down by the media, by magazines, by women that I've looked up that are older than me, through actresses or, or singers or anything. No one was talking about it. No one, I didn't even know what the word perimenopause meant when they said it to me, or what menopause, post-menopause was. And I'd never had a hot flush. And I'd only ever thought that you were in the menopause when you had a hot flush and you didn't have a period. And I didn't have a period because I had a Mirena coil. So I wasn't having any of these, but I felt like I was just going completely nuts. So when I actually got to the bottom of it, and I was in the publishing company and I was telling them my story, that I was a recovering alcoholic, and that was always something I never wanted to talk about openly either. I don't know why. Also, they put me on antidepressants for a few years instead of putting me on hormones and on HRT. And even that I felt shamed with. So I felt a lot of shame at this particular moment about, you know, my alcoholism, being a recovering alcoholic and being on antidepressants, and also now going through the menopause and like losing the plot. So going through this, it was like, I'm bearing all with all these publishers. I sitting around a table, you know, there's not one, there's about 7 or 8 women. And by the end of it, when I just told my first part of my story, they were just like, that's it. You know, what you said. And I said, what? They just said, well, how it happened also organically. I was turning 50 in March, and I hadn't left my house for 3 months. The anxiety, the foggy brain, the not sleeping, the dry mouth syndrome, which was like I drunk bleach. I couldn't drive my car. I managed to get to an AA meeting, and there I felt I was in a safe place. So I shared openly about everything that was going on. I thought that all my colourful 80s, I was a big acid house raver through the 80s. Then I did this whole Britpop thing through the 90s. And my mum used to say to me, this is going to catch up with you, Miss Meg Matthews. Just watch this space. If I tell you this one more time, and I'd be like, yeah, mum, whatever. Anyway, so I did think also, then my brain started going, oh my God, the dementia, the foggy brain, that's what it is. That's it. That's all those years of all that, what I've been doing. It's all caught up. Anyway, at the end of the AA meeting, I left, and a woman tapped me on the shoulder and she said, here is my number. I think you're going through the menopause. Well, the ego of me was like, me, the menopause, that's the Golden Girls. That's a blue rinse. That's not me. You know, that's the Golden Girls. I image them all in Miami and living there. That's them. That's not me. Anyway, the penny dropped on the way home, and I called this lovely Brazilian woman, and we spoke for hours and hours and became very good friends. And she gave me everything that I needed to know. And it was that one conversation. And then I felt that I had been given this free, and I'd been given it to a place that I always felt safe. And I don't want to get too spiritual, but I felt like there I had a higher power moment. And I just felt that it was for me to pass this message on, because it wasn't for me just to keep to myself. So I thought, I will share my story, and I will write it from the heart, and I will be completely truthful, and I won't hold back. And I will not feel any shame or taboo around the menopause or antidepressants or being an alcoholic. I'm going to just bear it all. And I know that this, I had a feeling, would help millions and hundreds of women. And so far, so good. There you go. So that's how it started.
How it started. So there was an excerpt on the CoveyClub blog from your book, and you had said there was an adage: listen to your body when it whispers, because then you won't have to hear it scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so why is it so hard for us to pay attention to those whispers? Because we're just too damn busy.
We are, well, I think as women, we are now, when we look at it, we are like the CEOs of the household. Yeah. You know, we take on everything. You know, we now know that it's even, you know, the times have changed. The husband or the partner would probably be booking the which insurance company and what this food here or what holiday. But now the woman is the CEO. She wants sustainable goods in the house. She wants everything done in a certain way. And we're seeing this. I just did a huge thing with Women in Home, and it was amazing about how it's changed. over the years in the households, you know, in partnerships, because they're doing all of this, and the children, like I called it the sandwich effect. And then also I had, my mum had passed away, so I was worried about my dad, so I needed to visit him. My daughter was doing her last years at school before she went to university. So I was trying to juggle all of this. There was no time for me. There just was no time for me, because I'm like, have you revised? Do you need a tutor? Dad, do you need me to visit you? Do you need me to come and visit you? You know, my partner, no, we're not having sex. I'm sorry, that is off the table. My libido is completely gone, and there's no way that's coming back. And all I do is want to sleep. So, you know, how are you going to take this? Well, of course, he left, because, you know, red-blooded man. He thought, you know, it was like, you know, the be all and end all was to have, you know, if he wasn't having sex and there wasn't a relationship. I wanted to be intimate, but being intimate wasn't enough. So I did lose a relationship, but, you know, it helped me grow in many other ways.
You've got a chapter in your book that says, if I'm not mistaken, hey, doc, I need some help here, about talking to your physician. And
Yeah.
what I wanted to ask, maybe some women also want to know this, what expectations should we have for our physicians in terms of them listening to us and being there for us through this journey? And how do we know when it's time to move on, that we're just not getting what we need from the doctor that we're seeing?
Right. So this is very different between the US and the UK, because I think within the US, you grow up with an OBGY, a gynecologist. Most women, do you not?
Well, we grow up with the pediatrician, and then the women move on. You know, we get a primary care physician following that, and then the gynecologist and OB.
Then you have the gynecologist.
Right.
So you'd have a gynecologist from when you were like 16, 17, 18, or
around thereabouts. Yeah.
Okay. But that's what I found in the US. In the UK, you don't get that. You just get a GP. You don't get a gynecologist at all.
Wow.
So when you go to a gynecologist, when you go to a GP, a general practice, which is called a GP, which is the doctor that just covers a bit of everything, I've looked into it, and they've basically, if my dog barks, I just saw someone just walk past my window, but he's not barking. That's good. It's the curriculum. There's 28 medical schools in the UK, and out of the curriculum, they do 3 hours out of 7 years on the menopause. So that's for every single woman in the world who's going to go through it. They do 3 hours. They do 7 hours on nutrition and 3 hours on the menopause, which we know now leads to 1 out of 2 women having osteoporosis, 2 out of 3 women suffering strokes and heart attacks and hardenings of the arteries, dementia, diabetes, collapsed pelvic floor. We all know this all has to do with the amazing hormone, the estrogen hormone. And that hormone, you take that away from us, and you basically, it does a lot of damage when it's not in the body. I know a lot of people can't take it, and some people don't want to take it, and there is other ways and natural ways, and also doing this. I take an HRT called Body Identicals. It's a gel. I rub it on my thighs, and I take estrogen progesterone tablet at night, all derived from the yam. And then I also take testosterone gel. And of course, in the UK, testosterone gel has not been made for women, even though we make 3 times as much testosterone in our 20s as estrogen. Of course, they've never made one for a woman, because like they've never tested ibuprofen on a woman. So we have a private one from Australia, but then that upsets me, because we don't have private healthcare like you ladies do over there. So it costs a lot of money for women, and women can't, working women can't afford this. And that's why everything in my English book is all about the NHS, because it only costs the NHS £4 for the gel that I take. It also has a very, very low rate. If you have 1,000 women in the room, 8 of those women would get breast cancer, but they would get breast cancer if they were obese, drinking 2 units or more of alcohol a day, and just be getting breast cancer. So it's a very, very small percentage when you think what this HRT can do to keep your body that healthy.
So what questions should women have for their physician if they're considering any type of HRT?
Right. So when you say physician, are you saying you get a GP or a physician, just a doctor?
Gynecologist, medical
A
doctor.
gynecologist.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm going into what I say in my book, if you're going into surgery, the first thing I would do is I would ask if there is any menopausal specialist within the surgery. There might be someone that is. So that's number one. Number two, I would have everything written down, because what happened to me was I just got so emotional every time, and I used to get only 8 to 10 minutes. I just kept bursting into tears. And they just kept saying, here's another antidepressant, here's another antidepressant. And of course, the antidepressants weren't kicking in the anxiety because it was wrong. It was a wrong in chemical imbalance. I have taken antidepressants throughout my 5 years here and there. I've needed them, and they have helped me a lot with my anxiety, but it wasn't what was needed at that time. So I would find that. I would then write down all your symptoms that you feel that you have, because I didn't write any down. And when he said, how are you feeling? I just burst into tears and was like, I can't think. I can't cope with life. And he was like, well, all I can think of is that I think we should try you on maybe something to help you get through this. But it wasn't that at all. So you can look in the book. There's the 34 symptoms. Write them down. Keep like a diary, like, you know, have a food diary, or you have a period tracker. Keep a tracker. I have an app at the moment, but it's gone down, which is such a shame, because you can track on the app. Hopefully it will be up very soon. But write everything down. So what you've got in front of you when you're going to, you know, it's like when you go to get a haircut. Have you ever noticed you go and get there, you sit there with the hairdresser, he cuts your fringe. We never say anything. We just sit in the chair and go, and then burst into tears when we go outside, we leave the hairdressers. None of us sit there and go, whoa, you just cut my whole fringe off. What the fuck did you just do? We all go, thank you. Here's your tip, leave, and burst into tears and call all of our girlfriends. So this is the same way as a GP. A GP is a human being, okay, or the general practitioner, you say. They're a normal human being. They are not gods, but you can say to them, please, could you type in your computer? Could you see if this is available? Because Meg talks about these things called body identicals, not bioidenticals. They are regulated in a laboratory. Bioidenticals are not regulated in a laboratory. They arrive to you lot in the United States in a brown envelope, in syringe type things, and that could be coming from anywhere. With body identicals, they are regulated in a laboratory. And this is estradiol gel, estrogen, progesterone, and the testosterone. That's another story, because I don't know how you'd get that there. But when you've got these symptoms in front of you, he'll probably say, no, you're too young, or, you know, you just wait, and you only need to take HRT for 5 years. There's all this stuff flying around out there in the media. You know, I can take this until I'm 99 years old. It's not going to do anything. So, you know, it's not like you've got 5 years, which is what my mother thought. She took a synthetic HRT, which then, as she took in her mouth, it then went through her liver, and it didn't cause her, but it could have caused clotting. So this is the old style hormone replacement therapy pills that we think about, you know, and that are talked about. But now we're moving on, and now we know that it's about prevention. It's not about waiting. It's not about holding on back. You know, I speak with women that are 42, 43. They're taking estrogen. They're having like their cycle. They're having a week of PMS where they're just like, I feel like rubbish. I want to eat tons of chocolate and I want to stab my husband. So now they're just saying, here's some estrogen, 2 pumps of that, or 1 pump of that on your arm, little pump on your leg, and it just brings it back up again. And they feel great. Then they have a week of their period, and then they go back and maybe get 3 or 4 days only out the whole cycle of having good days. Because if you're already starting to be peri from the age of 40, which I was, because I can see now, because I self-medicated on lots of things that I shouldn't have done, from food to drink, to drugs, to everything, because I wanted to know why at 40 I was feeling so weird and everybody else seemed to be feeling okay. And when going out was hard work for me, or I just didn't sleep that night, or I was angry with my boyfriend, or, you know, not burst into tears on watching an advert on the telly, you know, these things. So we now know that you can do this even if you have your period. So you now can take hormone replacement therapy while you still have periods, and you follow the cycle, and it just gives ladies a lot more of a nicer cycle, a nicer month. Instead of having 3 or 4 days of feeling okay, you now can have, you know, up to like 2.5 weeks, which is, when you think about it, and you're trying to work, bring a family up, and you're only got these few days. We've always just gone, it's life, it's stress, we'll put up with this. Come on, we'll just batter through. We're women, we're not supposed to worry about this. But the more menopause experts that I work with and that are coming up with these ideas, I could speak this amazing one called Dr. Harper. She had so many women that were just couldn't handle work, kids and everything, that she was putting them on SSRIs only for 10 days, for the 5 days before the PMS and the 5 days for the period. It doesn't act like an antidepressant because it takes like, it can take 6 weeks to get into the system before it starts changing in the brain. But to bring their serotonin levels up, it was just helping them to get through without actually feeling that they wanted to, strangle, throw things across the room. And they managed to get their life back. And we hadn't looked at this. And also with osteoporosis, 1 out of 2 women, I mean, that's a lot of women. I got diagnosed with osteoporosis at the age of 49. My mum died the most horrific death of osteoporosis. I watched her for 2 years in a hospice, couldn't move. Her spine crumbled, her heel crumbled, her pelvic floor collapsed. She was in a nappy. And the dignity of her, and this well-read, amazing woman who used to write for the Sunday Times, which was a big newspaper here, just was left bedridden. And I just used to go up there and I just could not. It's called the silent killer, because you have no idea. And then I basically left my keys and I'd jumped over my 3-meter wall or pulled myself up. And I didn't have the strength that I thought I used to have at 49, because I was always quite fit. So I sort of fell back and I put my arm out. It wasn't a big fall. But when I went to the hospital, I was too embarrassed to tell them that I'd jumped over a wall. So they said to me, go and have a DEXA scan, let's check. Because you've broken your wrist, you need a DEXA scan. And then I was thinking, I've heard of a DEXA scan. How do I know about that? I went and had the DEXA scan. Then they came out, they went, really sorry, you're 49, you have got osteoporosis. And I'm like, they said, you are fully in the red. It's the red, it's then yellow, it's then green. Osteopenia and then green. And I was like, well, what does that mean? They said, you'll be taking these pills, these pills, these pills, these pills for the rest of your life. I took the pills, threw them away. after going through a lot with my menopause doctor who works on Meg's menopause, and her mum was on them and my mum were on them. And when you take a pill that you can't take anything for half an hour beforehand, and you have to sit up straight, and then you're not allowed to take anything for another half an hour afterwards, that's a pretty scary sign. So I didn't take anything. So what I did was I started reading about estrogen, and I basically upped my estrogel from 6 pumps, from 2 pumps to 6 pumps. And within 1 year, and it's all videoed so everyone can see this, I'm doing weight-bearing exercises, eating lots of green leafy food, which I don't really love, but lots of Brussels sprouts and lots of cabbage and lots, you know, really looking at my diet, looking at my supplements, and definitely slapping on that estrogen gel, 6 pumps of it. Everyone was like, whoa, whoa. And there is a video of me a year later on World Menopause Day in 2019 going back to have the DEXA scan, and I don't have osteoporosis anymore.
Good for you.
So we now know that that estrogen gel now is now being looked at as a preventive for this. And this is why it's so important that women from early 40s should be knowing all of this, not just women, you know, in our 50s. You know, it's all about prevention. Everything we're talking about is prevention.
Right. Just a reminder, if anybody has any questions for Meg, feel free to put them in the chat. I don't know what it's like in the UK, Meg, but here, like traditionally, the view, or, you know, like the cartoon view or whatever of a woman in menopause is a woman sitting maybe at a boardroom table with a bunch of men and all of a sudden breaking out into a complete sweat and dripping in sweat and being embarrassed because she's having a hot flash. But you're here showing us that that doesn't have to be the case. I don't think that's how we look at it anymore. Am I right?
Absolutely, because you know, I spoke to millions of women that had that hot flush and they didn't sleep, and they used to take, you know, and I'm trying to lobby a lot here with the UK government, because I feel that it's HR's responsibility. It's not down to women. They should be responsible. When you're having a baby, they're like, you know, have a ginger biscuit, have maternity leave. If you break your leg, you know, it's like, oh my God, you know, take the lift. You know, but the menopause is debilitating. It's not a disability, but it really is one of the most debilitating things I've ever come across in my life. I mean, I go to do talks and I can't even think what to say. I feel nauseous, your boobs are sore. I mean, my God, there's nothing that it doesn't tick, you know. Right. And I think HR should definitely, it should be in the workplace. Like we have LGBT, is huge in the UK, and we also have you know, mental health in HR. But there also should be this, because every single woman is also going to go through this, and also trans men, which is another community that I'm working with at the moment.
You had said in your blog post, I think it was, that people's reluctance to talk about this still exists. And in fact, one television channel wouldn't even let you use the word menopause. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. They said it was, I wasn't allowed to say the word menopause.
What did they want you to say instead?
They wanted me to say that I'd reached a certain age.
Oh, a woman of a certain age. Right. Okay.
That law has now been changed, thank you, because I'm 6 years into doing this, and that was one of the first things that I was going to change. And also got the in the school curriculum, there was no, you got pregnant, you had a baby, and this is our sex education for every single child in the whole of the United Kingdom for the last 60 years. And then there was no menopause. It stopped in the book. So now the curriculum is perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause.
Okay. You had said a lot of your symptoms were mental health symptoms. You said, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you actually thought you might have been developing dementia, because I think, did your mom have dementia as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did you figure out that that wasn't the case?
because with the dementia, I just kept thinking either it's been my very rock and roll lifestyle,
Right.
or I am it's hereditary. So now I have osteoporosis and now I have dementia. I basically did start chatting to a couple of friends, and by this time you couldn't really shut me up for talking about anything to do with the menopause. People used to see me coming, I think, and go, oh my god, here she comes, she's going to start talking about it again, you know, rolling eyes from teenagers in my house and whatever. But you know, and then I started talking about it, and that's when they said, oh my god, I haven't, because I started ringing up my health company, AXA PPP, like my health people, going, I need to I need to have like an MRI. You need to give me this something. You have to look at my brain because it's not functioning quick enough. It's not functioning fast enough. And I can't even remember the date of my daughter's birthday. And it takes me 2 seconds to remember what the kettle is. You know, this is ridiculous. And I don't know where my car keys are. And I don't know, every time I lose something, it's like I just put it here and oh my God, it's in front of me. I said, you know, and so I went to them and I said, you know, I want to have this. So after me speaking with them, and then me going away, and then by the time it was about to come out, I'd already then started learning about that it was called foggy brain, like baby brain. So I went to these health people and I was like, why haven't you got anything set up? You're these multi-billion-pound health companies in the UK. We only have like a couple, and you charge like $600 a month just for the general. You don't cover a mammogram, you don't cover a smear, you don't cover a hormone test, you don't cover a blood an FSH test, you don't cover a DEXA scan. You don't. What do you cover for a woman then? So I've worked all my life and paid this, and now I'm wanting to look at stuff. And they went no. So then they got me in for this meeting and said, would you help us build a website that we could sort of direct women to for the menopause? And I was a bit like, well, yeah, but you're still tight arseholes. I'm sorry, unless you start changing. I'm leaving you anyway, because you know what? Women need this help, and the quicker that they can get to it is you will be saving yourself billions and billions of pounds every year. I said the NHS, our NHS, spends £6 million a day on fractures and hip replacements, which we now know, if you take the estrogen gel, which only costs the NHS £4 a month, that's all this drug costs, £4 a month. I didn't have any fractures or broken bones. My bones are completely normal. And that is from basically a $8 drug gel. So I'm trying to say, everywhere from the governments to the health people, to everybody needs to be in on this together, because there's a very, very easy solution. It's just giving the information out and helping these women to get that what they need to be taken, whatever way they want to. If they want to do it, you know, naturally, body identical, if they want to take tablets or synthetic, it's completely, the choice is up to every woman. But it should be available and it should be known. And the thing is, it's just not known. In the United States, there's 33 million women going through the menopause today. And I think the percentage of women actually getting help is something ridiculous, like 5 or 6%.
Wow.
Yeah.
We do have a question in the chat from Anna. She asked, does Meg know if body identicals are available in the United States? Her gynecologist has talked about bioidenticals.
Yeah, this is the thing I've had a couple of times. I think you can find it. They talk about bio all the time. That's the thing in America. Everything is bio. but you should be able to get body. So body identicals is basically bioidenticals, as I said before, is not regulated. It's not FDA passed that it works. It's FDA passed that it's safe. Body identicals is passed all through, but it is also it's regulated in a laboratory, and it's cheap. Bioidenticals, you will pay. This is why I get upset, and I know it's huge in the US, and hopefully this will change one day for you ladies, because it's like $100 for your estrogen, $100 for your progesterone, $100 for your testosterone. That's $300 like every quarter. You know, in the UK, it's like £9 for every quarter. And to bioidenticals, yeah, you can go, there's places all through the UK, but you don't really need to go.
Okay.
You know, it's your choice. Yes, it's very natural and everything, but also you don't know where it's regulated, or where it's made, or where it's mixed, or where it's come from.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So you've got another chapter in your book called Let's Talk About Sex. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about sex.
I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, everyone knows that. I don't really say that. Okay, so for me, my libido, it just started to, when I was having I didn't leave my house for 3 months. I used to get up in the morning, light the candles, make breakfast. My daughter, my partner would come down. I'd have my gym gear on. And then the minute they left the house, I'd let her get an Uber to school. She thought it was the coolest thing. I'm not having to get driven to school. My partner would go to work, and he always loved to walk. So it would take him hours. So I knew it would take him hours to get there and back. And then I would set the alarm for 4 o'clock, and I would just go back to bed and you know, get back in this duvet and not really, just couldn't really sort of cope with life. And but within that time, I did make my range of products, which I'm very proud of, because there was no menopause range available back then. And it's sustainable, and it's vegan, and it's natural, and it's a wash with a pH balance of 3.5. And there's amazing lubricants that look lovely, instead of screaming out sex next to your bed when you've got teenagers in the house. And also in the shower gel, I did a blossom lab instead of saying veggie femme and femme fresh. That's all I could ever find in CVS, is all these fanny veggie things. And I was like, ugh. Anyway, then my partner would, you know, he'd come home, and it just seemed to go from 1 week to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then it's sort of 3 months, and then it's a bit like, you know, when's it happening? And I basically was like, I want to be intimate still. I wanted to cuddle. I wanted to smell his back. I wanted to sniff his hair. I wanted to stroke his back. I wanted to hug him and kiss him and be intimate. That's what I was craving. But the intimacy just meant, as soon as I was intimate, just mean he would turn right over and just be like, wham bam, yeah, we're on for it tonight. And I was like, no, we're not. And then it would turn into an argument. So then, of course, I did take testosterone. I still do take testosterone. I took testosterone gel, got told that, you know, this could really bring your libido back. I'd read all these amazing stuff. And then I read that if you take it for 6 weeks and it doesn't work, then it's not going to work. And it didn't work for me. So for me, I had to do the old-fashioned way. Is I had to basically went back to my gynecologist, who just said, right, Meg, it's sexy underwear for you. It's a bullet. It's a sex toy. And you're going to have to start masturbating at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I was like, really? And she was like, really? Because if you want it to get it back, so that when you do actually have sex, you can reach an orgasm, because when you stop altogether, it's very hard to reach an orgasm. Did you know that? And I was like, no. And she said, it is. So it's like going to the gym and keeping fit. she
Gotcha.
said. And I just thought, you're right, actually, because beforehand I was like that. And then I was like, nothing. So then I had to use my imagination and I had to start watching different channels, you know, the sort of channels and things that I would like and fantasy, and found these different great sex toys and Bob's your uncle. And, you know, he would go in the shower and I'd be like, and then he'd be out the shower and I would be all right. And then I'd be smiling. And, yeah, I'm all ready for the day, you know, and that was it. And I just said, and in the end, it became part of us laughing, and we would do it together and we would play around with lube, and we just brought it back. So it was like, felt like we were teenagers again.
Nice. We have
Yeah.
another question in the chat. This one from Carol, who says, I'm on the estradiol patch and can't live without it. How do you know if you need testosterone also?
Okay, so with the, you don't know that you, well, testosterone gives you that little bit of kick, that little thing about getting sort of back in the gym, or if you're feeling a little bit sluggish, or you're feeling not sort of that skip in the step, that's what it gave me. And that's what it helped. You don't need to have it, but I'm always like, you know, if you've got a car and you're putting the petrol in, you're not going to forget to put the oil in, are you? Because you're going to chug up the hill. So why not put the oil in so you can drive smoothly up the hill?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And Barbara has a comment in the chat. She said she's a certified menopausal provider here in the US. Here in the US, we have FDA approved HT, hormone therapies, that are, quote, body identical. We don't use that term. We use the term bioidentical, some compounded, in parentheses, unregulated, or FDA approved, but the terminology is more marketing.
Oh, yeah. See, this is the difference. This is why in the US, this is why it was very confusing for me, because I would speak to different people and they would be like, yeah, bio, body, because in the UK we have bio, we have body, and then we have the synthetic. So yeah, and it's actually this is it. So with the bio, yeah, most menopause specialists in the UK don't really give out bio, but there's certain hormonal doctors who charge a hell of a lot of money do this. So it's only because I've never really visited you in the States, so I thought that this question might come up.
Okay.
But it's good for me to learn. I need to learn as well.
Right. So you do mention that there are some upsides to menopause, a lot of positives. So how about you give us a rundown of maybe your top 3, what you think is so great about this time of life?
Right. For the first time in my life, I really don't give a fuck about anybody or what they think or anything. And I've spent my life worrying what he said or she said, or why am I not at that party, and why am I not there, and oh my God, this, and why, oh my God, I want that car, or I'm wearing this. Now I just like, you know what? That was just such a lot of hard work and time. And also, I felt the most free, comfortable in my own skin, free. And also, when I came through it, the other side, I'd achieved and I'd done something which I never thought for me. I'd written a book for someone that had no qualifications from school, left with nothing, lived on the streets for 3 years, had no qualifications, and lived, you know, within shop doorways. Ended up 3 times at number 10 Downing Street with different prime ministers, and written a book. So for me, I'm just, very proud to where I am today.
Great. Tell us what you wish you would have known about this menopausal journey prior. Like if you could give your premenopausal self some advice, what would that be?
That would have been just like after I'd given birth, that the midwife or my gynecologist that was doing it would have said, You know, you've given birth at 36, Meg, and now do you know that you could easily be going into the perimenopause at the age of 40? Do you know about the perimenopause? No. Do you know about the menopause? No. Do you know postmenopause? No. Do you know about osteoporosis? Do you know these things that can happen to you? You know, the same way as in the United Kingdom, when you turn 40, you get sent a letter and it asks you to go and have a cholesterol test. You also get that letter at 45. Then at 50, you get a test to say to go and have a mammogram, because we only do them every 5 years in the UK. So when every single woman gets these letters, the cholesterol 40, 45, and the mammogram at 50, I believe that in those letters, everything should have been written down, and I should have been told all of this. Because at the age of 49, in a very dark place, in my house, for 3 months, not leaving, didn't even know if I was ever going to leave my house, because I did not know what was going on. And, you know, I couldn't even hold eye contact or a conversation with anybody. And if people had known me before, I had a really big, I worked PR in music and events and whatever. I mean, I was just Miss Sociable, and it was just dragged from me like overnight. I woke up and it was like a tsunami. It hit me, and I said to my partner on the New Year's Eve, on January the 1st, you have to get me home. I need to go home now. We were out in the country in a big New Year's Eve party. And I said, you need to take me home now. And he's like, no. I said, no, I need to go home now. And I went home that day, and then I didn't leave for 3 months.
Wow.
And, you know, and I went, you know, I could not, I was on antidepressants. They couldn't put me on more antidepressants. And then once they put me on, we finally got to the HRT. Within 4 days, my night sweats had stopped. Between 10 days, my anxiety had dropped to a level that it's always underlying. I'm a worrier, as they call it. I think I've always been a worrier. I didn't just wake up with this, but I could cope with the worry because that was just something. But eventually it was the estrogen that helped to bring it down. It wasn't, and I didn't want to get fixed on any of those, you know, shitty Western drugs out there. I didn't want to have to use that for my anxiety, because that's not a life, you know. And then in the end, I got there. And I must say that now life is great. And I wake up every morning, and when I open my cabinet in my bathroom, and I get my gels and I rub it on, or now I even have a spray. I have a new spray, which is new, which I can spray on now without this gel. And that's all it is. It's just a rub of gel. And then before I go to bed, to take the progesterone and a little dab of testosterone. And if that's all it is, you know, that is it. And you just rub it on your skin. The only thing I say, and then also I do insert VeggieFem. I localize estrogen because it helps to keep your vagina moist and, you know, loose and supple. And I do that 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, if anybody has any questions, again, feel free to put them in the chat. But I want to ask Meg, what's next for you? Can you tell us any upcoming projects or what's coming down the pike for you?
Well, at the moment, I tell you, I think there is just so much work to be done in the menopause that I wish I could say I could jump forward like 5 years, but there's so much work to be done in the UK that I'm going to be working with. We have like the NHS, yeah, our National Health Service. I think I'm working with 2 big women there. We're going to try and make lots of changes. We're going to try and make it compulsory in workplaces that they have a menopause, like a menopause pack. so that line managers or women don't have to actually, you know, go forward. It's out there already. That's what I want. I want women to have to be able to put their hand up and say, excuse me, I need a fan, or I need water, or I need the window open, or the aircon. This should all be sorted. It should not be fair that women have to go through this. We work and work and work, and we get to the top of our careers, and then all of a sudden, like you say, you're in a boardroom and you're like 54 and you're at the height of your career and you're having a hot flush and you can't remember the name of anybody. And you should be able just to be able to go, I need 5 minutes, and not everyone to think, oh my God, she's weak. Oh God, she's going through the change. It should just be like, yeah, just let her recompose and come back in.
Right. We got a couple comments in the chat I want to share with you from Barbara. Again, thanks for bringing this issue to the forefront. So many women struggle a great deal and have been told that HT is dangerous, a huge disservice to women's health. And Christine says, Meg, how amazing for you. I love that your self-care ritual has provided huge benefits for you and so many others.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Marissa, if you can just drop in the chat where we could find Meg online and on social. Her website is megsmenopause.com.
Yeah.
She's also on LinkedIn at Meg Matthews, Meg-Matthews. The book, again, is The New Hot, Cruising Through Menopause with Attitude and Style. And you can get that on Amazon, of course, and I guess anywhere books are sold, right? So
yeah, I think it's on Goodreads. Is that what you have in America?
We have Goodreads. Did you say Goodreads? Yeah, we have Goodreads. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they provide links where you can purchase on there as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because that's like a Facebook for readers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant. I'm going to give you the rundown here once I find it. I had everything in order and now I'm like, oh, where's my Covey events? Here we go. Here's what's coming up. Positive Mornings, as you know, is every Monday at 9 a.m. with Covey, with Camp Reinvention coaches Wendy Prati and Dana Helmer. April is Share the Covey Love Month, and to celebrate, when you purchase a ticket to Positive Mornings for April 5th, 12th, 19th, or 26th, you can bring one new friend to each coaching call for free. Once a ticket's purchased, Lesley will send you a form to fill out with your friend's name and email so they could be registered for the Positive Mornings. On April 13th at 2 o'clock, we've got How to Actually Lower Stress. Real talk. Stress is inevitable, but doesn't have to get in the way of actually achieving your goals. And that's what Stefana Johnson, a leader, an acronym, Your Way Through Stress method. It teaches you the surprising truth about stress and guides you through the 5 steps to deal with it and get the results that you want. On Wednesday, April 14th, there's another Cocktails and Conversation, this one called You Deserve Self-Care, How to Plan for and Access the Breaks You Need. Lesley said she's hearing from women that are caring for their families and their businesses, but not caring for themselves. And she said enough to that. So bring 3 of your best tips to share about what you do for self-care to that Cocktails and Conversation. There's a fireside chat on Thursday, April 15th at 2 o'clock with Terry Bryant, who is a makeup artist and founder of Guide Beauty, a company that's rethinking the ergonomics of beauty tools and products for all users. She's going to share her story and insight on reinventing her life and the beauty industry after being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And of course, you can find all of that on the CoveyClub page. You just click attend, and that's where all the events are. So I think that's it, Marissa, unless I forgot something.
No, you did great.
We are all set. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Meg. It was a pleasure meeting you and having you here with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming, guys. I really appreciate it.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.